We have literally been told by society that rest is for the weak and that we must outgrind our peers and competitors to victory. I feel there's a lot of misconceptions out there about work ethic, and I'd like to address those today with these 5 reminders. This is a video for creative individuals that are either stressed or too tired to go about their creative work. My name is Tyler Edlin. I've been an artist and a designer in the entertainment industry now for close to 15 years, and I've never experienced burnout, and I'm going to share with you why today. Alright, so for number 1, enjoy the journey. What does it exactly mean though? Well, with online, it's very easy to get really discouraged, right? We can look on ArtStation, Instagram, Twitter. We can very easily start to compare ourselves, the speed of ourselves and the quality of ourselves to others, and in a fairly destructive way. What works for me is I had to figure out my own tempo, how often to create, how long to create, how many days a week to create, and not necessarily chase the momentum of others. It doesn't have to be a constant battle with stagnancy. I used to think every piece I created had to be better than the last. The piece I made last month, the piece I made last week. I always was forcing myself, putting this pressure on myself that wasn't necessary. Literally celebrate the fact that you even showed up on a given day and put your pen to the tablet, put your pencil to the paper, that you in fact created. That is a victory in itself. It doesn't always have to be a big pissing contest with yourself about you always performing at your peak. So with that said, my tip number 2 here is to simply slow down. Your picture will in fact not be better because you painted it faster, because you designed it quicker. In fact, I know when I do that, it just adds stress and pressure to the whole thing. And when I am in a rush, I'm often not taking enough time to reflect. I'm in fact missing out on many learning opportunities. I see students do this all the time. They get caught up so in the moment, they don't stop to think about what is best, why it's best, and how to move forward. So my general recommendation is quality over quantity when it comes to most of my students. It's definitely okay and very common to see professionals do like those 30-day challenges, where you spend like an hour a day just busting out a really kind of quick drawing or painting. That's great. That is great for anybody, not just professionals, to loosen up. But if you're a student, going into that uncomfortable range where you're, spending 30 good hours on an image, pushing it to the absolute max. Because in fact, it is easier to restart. It is easier to start a new picture than to see a picture all the way through. And so for my 3rd big reminder today, on top of just slowing down, I want to let you know it is absolutely okay to just simply rest and recharge. We don't always have to be creating 24/7. It's just not necessary. And it's not sustainable. I know when I have a fresh perspective and mental recharge, it's going to go a long way, and paradoxically, it's going to increase my productivity in the long run. On a day-to-day basis, I rarely slog it out after 10 p.m. Occasionally, I'll splurge and work to 11 if I'm in a groove. Right? If you're in a groove, ride it, but don't force it. If I produced work when I'm tired, generally it looks like shit. I'm going to make bad decisions. I'm going to have to spend the whole next day fixing it. I've done this a ton of times. So the better I became listening at my own body and mind, the better the art got. So just like in music, right? The rests are just as important as the notes themselves, right? It's a harmony, it's a rhythm, our creative tempo. All right, so reminder number 4 here, live a full life. So often as I do say, right, being a successful artist is an entire way of life in itself. But it is absolutely not everything. And I didn't get to where I am today with that mindset. I'm not saying I recommend for everyone to go buy big, expensive trips and take weeks and weeks off. I'm taking a week off right now. I need it. I'm about to start my term next week. So the week before, I like to go in with a complete recharge. And I'm going to take my family up to the coast of Maine, and we're going to chill for a bit. But I feel the important reminder here is that you are not a bad artist if you take some time away, if you take some time for yourself. And I had to force that mindset away from me every time I feel a little bit of guilt sink in because I'm not at this computer here grinding out my images. In fact, even on a day-to-day schedule, I block out my time in 2-hour intervals. It's 2 hours on, 2 hours off, 2 hours on. I'm constantly changing up. The constant change up certainly helps me build and maintain momentum whenever I do work, and I'm never getting too fidgety or irritable when it comes to creating my images. So really, just to plan accordingly to your own limits and fight that guilt away when you're not sitting at the computer. So for number 5, right, and we've all been building up to this point, I definitely recommend to take care of your mental health, and that it is absolutely okay and possible to achieve all of your goals without completely sinking and losing yourself in the process. So avoid burnout, as I have over the last 15 years, by resting often, going slow enough to reflect on your work, and taking care of your physical body. I know a lot of professionals personally that do overwork themselves. They get burnt out. They get stressed. They get depressed. And sometimes after 5-6 years, they even feel lost. I mean, after all, us artists and creatives in general, right, we get that stereotype of being like these reclusive shut-ins that have like a lot of inner damage that we're dealing with. It's not always the case, and it doesn't have to be, not to you, if you let it. But I mean, these come from our work ethic, our obsessions, and the solitariness of our creative process itself. To help battle this and to avoid it as I have, I personally aim for like 10,000 steps a day. You know, I hit the gym 5 days a week. I go cardio about 3 days a week. This has improved my mood. It's drastically reduced my stress and really improved my overall self-esteem. I used to feel guilty about taking time off my desk for work. So I would eat lunch. You know, I do fast food. I do quick frozen foods. I meal prep now. I do all whole foods. And the benefits have been through the roof. My resilience has improved. I don't get as sick as much. My cognitive capacity and function is better, so my mind is quite a bit sharper. And of course, I'm sleeping better as a result. And even when I'm doing all this, if I do get overburdened, which occasionally happens with an abundance of client work, students to manage, and the business itself to run, the other thing I had to learn and actively do now is ask for help. And it is okay to ask for help. I call up old students. I call my friends. I don't have enough time this week. Can you help me out with this job? Or can I delegate some process or some aspect of my social media posting to someone else if it helps take some of that weight off my chest? Absolutely. It keeps me afloat. It keeps all of this sustainable. So guys, those are my personal 5 reminders that I think we all have to tell ourselves and occasionally each other when we get lost along the way and we get stressed and just feel overwhelmed. Take those with a grain of salt. I told you what works for me. It might be a bit different from you, and that's okay. And if you didn't know, we do have a Patreon with an amazing Discord, an awesome support community, and there's over 150 tutorials in which you get instant access to. So I'll catch you guys later.